Hi, I'm Todd Pattison, Conservator at the New England Historic Genealogical Society. I thought since a lot of us are spending time indoors now, that I would teach you how to make a simple pamphlet so that you can keep a journal, write a story, or maybe do some drawings. So you will need some paper that you can fold in half, and I'm just using some photocopy paper that I have from my printer here at home. For a cover, I'm going to use this beautiful wrapping paper that someone gave me a present in, and I just saved the wrapping paper. You will also need some kind of thread to sew your pamphlet together with, and you could use some twine that you might have, things that you might use to cook with or have in a drawer, maybe for gardening. I'm going to be using embroidery thread because my wife does some embroidery. We happen to have that thread. You'll also want a pair of scissors. You may want a straight edge, a sewing needle, and if you have one, maybe a small awl or something to punch some holes. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to cut the cover down so that it's the same size as my text pages. So I'm going to take one of the text pages and I'm going to place it on my cover. I could do this with scissors and cut it down, but I can also do it with a straight edge. So I place my straight edge covering the text paper that I have, and then I tear off the excess cover paper. And then I'm going to do this one more time for the last edge that I have here. And again, just pulling against this straight edge, it gives me a nice, fairly straight line. So now I have my text pages, and you want to be careful not to use too many text pages because it will be difficult to sew through. And I have my cover, and so I'm going to jog those all up together and then take them and simply fold them in half, trying to meet the front edge. And at this point, I will just smooth it down using my thumb or one of my fingers. Now, the next thing I want to do is to punch 3 holes in this. So we want 3 holes because we're going to do what's called a figure 8 sewing. So I'm going to punch the first hole into the center, and I want to be careful not to push my awl or my needle, if you happen to be using a needle, into the countertop or something like that, and definitely not into my finger. And then I'm going to make a hole closer to the edge on each side. So this gives me 3 holes so that I can sew through in this figure 8 pattern. We'll start from the inside of the pamphlet, going out onto the outside, and then I'm going to pull that most of the way through, leaving maybe 3 or 4 inches of thread on the inside of the pamphlet. And now I will come back in through my top hole and pull that all the way through until it snugs up just a little. So I want it fairly tight. And then I will go out through the last hole down at the bottom of the pamphlet. And so I'm skipping the center hole. And then this is where you actually form the figure 8, because I'm going to go back into the center hole now and come out and kind of make that figure 8. Now I can have the 2 ends around each side and then simply tie a knot on these, kind of the way you might tie your shoe. And I want to pull that tight so that I make sure that this string is all tight. And if you want to make sure that it's really secure, just wrap that thread around and make one more knot again. And all you have to do to complete it is to cut the rest of your thread off, leaving a little bit, maybe a ½ an inch there so that the knot won't pull out. And then you again can crease this down and you have a pamphlet. So here's your cover, which you can do anything you want on the cover, and then here your pages, they open nice and flat. You can do anything else that you want with those. So here's the finished pamphlet, and I just wanted to show you a few other variations. Maybe you don't have any wrapping paper, anything like that. So I happen to have some computer paper. I'm kind of a cat fan, and so I have this computer paper that I can print out and use cats. So I just use that as my cover on this. Or you can just use your plain paper and do a drawing. Here I did a little drawing of a dog and personalized my pamphlet that way. And the last thing that you can think about doing would be maybe using some kind of cardboard piece that you have and personalize it. I tend to like to eat snack food. I know I shouldn't eat too much of it, but it's too tasty. And so you can cut off part of your cardboard, and I just follow the lines from the box where it was made. They're nice and square and self-guided. And then when I have this cut, then I can just gently fold this in half. And again, score it with my finger so that it folds in half. And so this can be my cover. I can use my favorite cereal for this, or snack food, or whatever else you have. And you can use other things for your text block pages too. So in this case, I have some graph paper that was part of a notebook that I had. So I took the graph paper out, and I can use this, and if I want the graph paper to be smaller than this cover or the same size as the cover, I can just use my scissors and cut around this and come up with a different kind of pamphlet, one that has graph paper in it and has a little bit of a stiffer cardboard cover that I can also glue things to. I can put stickers on, I can color on, I can do anything that I want. So this is a way that you can make some pamphlets at home. You can do some drawings in them, you can write a story, you can save them up so that you have presents to give to a relative or a friend when hopefully we can leave our house a little bit